in other cities, I feel more black, if I can say it like this. I feel more different. And of course, like in smaller cities, it's even more extreme, but also even in cities like Munich or Stuttgart, I feel more different.
A black person wouldn't consider me a black girl.
Yeah.
I'm more like a colored person. So you need to learn now to distinguish. Just like when you're in Europe, there is like Scandinavians, Germans, Spanish people and all of it. It's the same in the African continent.
A friend of mine, his parents are from Vietnam, but he grew up here and in Germany, and that like the shop of his mom got burned down because she was like an immigrant. The most misinterpretation is that everyone thinks I'm half whatever they are, especially with other migrants. So when I go to a falafel shop, they always think I'm half Arabic or I'm North African. Also, like sometimes Asian people think I'm half Asian. Every black person thinks I'm half whatever from where. Because at the end of the day, I think no one is born racist. It's more like the environment that you're in and what you've been taught. And so I think, yeah, it's like important to break out of these forms that we were put into from society. And I think, yeah, as you said, like traveling helps a lot. Or
you meet a lot of people in your life. There is different characters and behavior that you like in people and others that you don't like. And those that you like, you should try to see if you can adopt similar kind of behavior and characters.
Yeah.
And I think that was so beautifully put. Welcome back to the hot seat. Today we are crossing continents from the warmth of Africa to the rhythm of Berlin to talk about identity, belonging, and emotional intelligence. My guest today is Jessica, a woman with roots in both Congo and Germany who has built her life and career between Germany and Africa. She's someone who carries herself with grace, both from the quiet strength of Africa and the reflective curiosity of Europe. We'll talk about what it's really like to live, work in a space where you are sometimes too African to be German and too German to be African. We'll explore subtle discrimination, representation, working with African companies, and how emotional intelligence shapes her world, both personally and professionally. This conversation isn't about fitting in. It's about belonging on your own terms. So take a breath, get comfortable, and welcome to the hot seat. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you today, and thank you for making the time to join us. Tell me a little bit more about where you're from, what your roots, what you're doing in the African continent, and all of that.
Yeah, so my name is Jessica. I'm 31 years old. I'm usually based in Berlin, but I'm traveling because of work a lot to Johannesburg because the headquarters of my company is based here. A little about myself. My dad is German. My mom is Congolese from the DRC. And when I was a child, so I was born in Germany, but then we moved quickly because of the work of my dad to Rwanda, to Kigali. Then afterwards, we lived in Namibia for 4 years. And then when I was around 8 years old, we moved back to Germany in a rural area in the north of Germany. And then, we stayed there. I started to study, started to move in a slightly bigger city. And then afterwards, because of work, I moved to Berlin. And after during my master's, I got to know like a company which was like focusing on the German-African business relations. And yeah, that's how I ended up here in Joburg, basically. Yeah.
All right. And how's that experience for you?
It's like, it's always hard for me to explain it to people, especially telling I live in between Joburg and Berlin. It's like long distance. It's usually like maybe Frankfurt, Berlin, or like cities at least on the same continent. So it's actually quite crazy to travel on a regular basis for that long distance. So I think that's really crazy. Joburg or South Africa has a lot of similarities with Germany, but also still it's quite different. You don't agree?
Curious.
I mean, it's like, or not directly similarities, but it's like, I think it's not the most, it's the most westernized African country, let's say it like
Absolutely,
this. Yeah, comparison.
well developed.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of facility, even better facilities than Germany.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yes, sometimes I'm like,
You know what reference I use? Like, when you have to get into the parking and you just have to wave
Yeah,
to
yeah.
enter the parking. Like in Germany, you have to press.
Yeah, exactly. Or you
That's a
can
very
you can pay
example.
by card everywhere here. Like it's also that.
Yes, I
Yeah,
really have cash here
yeah,
most
it's
of the
true.
time.
Yeah,
But I do keep like some coins in my car and some money because there's always somebody who's like stopping or asking
yeah,
something. But other than that, I also never walk with cash. And then when you go to other places, you always have to have cash with you.
yeah, exactly.
Finally, in Germany, I went to see a doctor and I had to do a scan and he made me pay in cash.
Yeah, okay. That sounds very German, actually.
Really? I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it could also be slightly prejudices because you're a foreigner, have a foreign name, you look foreign, so they want to make sure that it's actually will be paid, but also that cash is still a priority in Germany. It's still very German. I wouldn't be shocked if they would do it to everyone because they believe more in cash.
I was surprised by that. I would thought they believe more in like card systems,
Yeah. I think COVID changed it a bit because
Okay.
it was more hygienic to use cards. But before COVID, I mean, it was
Even more?
Yeah, it was even more. It was more extreme. Yeah,
For
definitely.
some reason, Germany was the first country that I think they more preferred like cash payments than
Yeah,
card payments.
exactly. I think, I mean, also here in South Africa, it's maybe because of the security issues that it's like
Better not
not
carry
having
cash
cash
with
with
you.
you. Exactly. I mean, in Germany, it's rarely happening that you get robbed or something, but still, I think the Germans are also quite traditional, let's say, like in terms of technology, or like to stick what they know, I think, in the
Okay.
German culture. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and how is it moving to Berlin? Like, how's Berlin?
Yeah. I mean, I remember first I applied to a job. I was living back then in Frankfurt and I applied to a job and they said like they had an office in Frankfurt, but they said like, oh, we only have offices some position open in Berlin or Hamburg. And I was like, okay, then let's choose Berlin. I was not, because usually a lot of people want to move to Berlin so bad. It has a great lifestyle. It's very hipster, but I was in the beginning a little bit skeptic. But as soon as I arrived in Berlin, I was like, okay, it's quite cool. I mean, I was like having my first proper job with actual money after being a student. So you could go out. What I love about Berlin is anyone could do whatever they want. So you can wear whatever you want. And I mean, yes, maybe some people will look at you, but also most of the Berliners think like, ah, yeah, that's Berlin. Like,
So Berlin.
it's so Berlin. Yeah, if you want to walk around in a unicorn costume,
You can.
you can do it. Yeah.
This is interesting. I have crazy stories from Berlin. And after all those stories and like traveling more, I was like, yeah, this was so Berlin.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen to me elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the beauty of it as well. And also, there's very good food
Yeah.
and also a lot of fashion, in my opinion, because parts of Germany, I question the retail shop that I go to. I think I was telling you about that, but like Berlin have a lot of things and it's quite a big city. And I can understand when you say like some similarities because it's like a big city and also here it's a city.
Yeah.
But I think like in Berlin, probably like you get to hang out with people more and have more human connections than Joburg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, you walk around more in Berlin. Like, for example, what I always miss from Joburg, when I'm in Joburg from Berlin, is just hanging out in a park. And also there you get to know people when you're in a group of friends. And for example, in Berlin, there's like the Tempelhofer Feld. It's like the old airport in Berlin, and they made it into a recreative area. So you can a lot of cyclists are there, or skateboarders, or kite surfers, and stuff like this. And you often go there after work, watching the sunset, and you get to know other people, or you just call your friends, hey, I'm on the Tempelhofer Feld, come join me and
Yeah.
stuff like this. So that's what I miss about Joburg, because here it's not that, because of security reason, of course, like people are more cautious also to get to know new people. I have the feeling they're often
Yes.
quite welcoming, but it's like in the end there's no action behind it. Let's say if they say like, hey, let's meet, but it's hard to make friends here, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. And even if somebody, a stranger, asks you for advice randomly or something, you feel hesitant to give that
Eh,
advice. And I remember I was in Frankfurt and some guy asked like my friend for something, and he immediately helped and went to show him where it is. And I'm like, oh my God, I have like the phobia of Joburg that when uh, when I'm there, I notice like I already have this little anxiety of like, no, I don't want you to, no, you don't talk to me. But then you get used to it again. Obviously, you travel a lot, you're out of the country, and then like you get used to talking more with people as well. Yeah,
yes,
but
exactly.
that little Joburg anxiety, like the longer you stay in Joburg, you have this little thing. I was like,
Yeah. I had the same thing when I was coming back from Joburg. I was there almost 3 months, and I went with a friend to the Christmas market. And of course, I had to get cash because, as mentioned before, we're in Germany. And I was looking to my left and to my right to getting cash. And my friend was looking at me like, how much money do you get out of it that you're so scared that someone's gonna rob you? And it was just 50 euros. But yeah, you get like so cautious and about your surroundings. And yeah, it's really a Joburg thing that you're a little bit scared of
you
your
hold the
security. Hold
bag.
the bag, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about surroundings, like being like Congolese and German mix, like how do you feel walking in the street of Berlin?
I mean, in Berlin, that's what I like, because in my village back then, I mean, it's quite telling that I know all of the, not even just mixed race kids, even like all of the immigrant kids. I think it was normal when I was walking down the street and there was a black guy passing by me, that we greet each other and stuff like this, because you're both the other people and you're like the foreigners. I don't know, I don't like the word, but it's like, yeah, you're different. So you're a community directly. Even like the Vietnamese lady always greeted me because I was like different, not even like Asian, but like just
Yeah, it's
different.
like
So,
you understand a little
yeah.
bit the struggle behind at times.
Exactly, yeah. And in Berlin, I mean, of course, it's like a metropolitan area. It attracts all kinds of people, and also more migrants are there. So therefore, also more mix of cultures and also more mixed race kids. So I feel like more comfortable. You don't feel like the odd one
Outsider.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You feel like your neighbor is black, the other one is Turkish, the other one is like German, and the other one is Polish or something like this. So it's like more diverse and more mixed. So you feel more comfortable, in my opinion, and you have more
Yeah.
peers. And that's what I really like about Berlin, because it's like such a multicultural city, no matter what part of the world. I think almost every part of the world is represented in
In
Berlin.
Berlin,
Yeah.
yeah. And we were talking about this as well, like even in essay, it's so mixed, like you feel like you are home, like there is, it's just like you fit in as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
So
that's
I
what
also enjoy this kind of feeling when I travel, and it's very few places in the world that you can feel this way. I feel this way in California as well. And in Brazil, I just love it because people are so amazing.
yeah.
But yeah, and when you are in those kind of places, like you want to ensure, like, I mean, it's good to feel just like among the people, like normal, like, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And at some point, my partner wanted to consider for us to move to Spain. And I was like, okay, I need to test it first. I need to see how receptive people are of foreigners, expat, or like African people,
Yeah.
colored people. And then I can say, like, if it's, is it the place that I'm going to be?
Yeah, especially when it's smaller cities. Because I spent my semester abroad in Portugal, and there was also, you could tell there were like in a smaller city, there were like prejudices against like, because they always thought I was Brazilian or from Angola. So, and yeah, I've heard like comments as soon as my Portuguese got better, you could hear sometimes comments from people and stuff like this. So I think especially in smaller cities where people are not used to it, there can be a lot of prejudices happening. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you could look Brazilian.
Yeah, I know.
I
But
know that
technically
you're
anyone could be
saying with
Brazilian.
beautiful hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, when you go to like other cities in Germany, do you feel the same way, or you feel like it's a bit more different?
I think, for example, I lived in Frankfurt. Frankfurt is also very multicultural. So I think that's why I also liked Frankfurt. But of course, as soon as you go to smaller cities, I have or even in the southern part of Germany, for example, Munich has a big Croatian or Slavic community. So that's like a big part of their migration background. And Berlin or other cities more have Turkish background because of the history of the guest workers in Germany. And so I think like in other cities, I feel more black, if I can say it like this. I feel more different. And of course, like in smaller cities, it's even more extreme, but also even in like cities like Munich or Stuttgart, yeah, I feel more different. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting that you're saying like you feel more black. Dominic met me in Zanzibar, right? For him, I was a black girl.
Yeah.
Right? And at some point, and he present me like this, and at some point I was like, a black person wouldn't consider me a black girl.
Yeah.
I'm more like a colored person. So you need to learn now to distinguish. Just like when you're in Europe, there is like Scandinavians, Germans, Spanish people, and all of it. It's the same in the African continent. We are not the same.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
something like to learn as well.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, black doesn't mean necessarily black. It's not the skin color, let's say it like this. Yeah.
And it takes times you have to mingle more with people, and then like they get to know more about it. Sometimes it's just come from the fact that they don't know. Like, for me before it was difficult to differentiate between a French, an Italian, and the German. Now I'm saying this, I know very well the distinguish between it, but like before it's like,
yeah,
they're also the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. It's like, it's what you're used to and how your friends are or stuff like this. Yeah,
definitely. And talking about Germany, like I've been in Germany multiple times, and a lot of people told me Germans are very racist, right? However, me who noticed these things like quite rapidly, I didn't feel it so strong in Germany than I expected. I felt it more in north of Italy than in Germany so far. Obviously, I haven't been in small cities, but like I've been to a few of them, and it's just been okay. There's little passive or not knowing how to react, but overall, like I feel comfortable, and I was quite surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always like where in Germany you are. I think especially, I mean, for example, my friends who grew up in the east part of Germany in like a really area where it's like a really high rate of neo-Nazis and stuff like this. I mean, when I hear their stories about their childhood, that like for example, a friend of mine, his parents are from Vietnam, but he grew up here and in Germany, and that like the shop of his mom got burned down because she was like an immigrant and stuff like this. So it's a very different reality than in my small village. I mean, of course, I also experienced racism, but it was more like I was never excluded from my class. I think it was more like the typical teenager thing. I remember like one of my friends, I was making fun of it that he's gay, and he was making fun of me that I'm black, but now we're friends. And I mean, we were like 13 or something, so we didn't understood like what it meant and how much it can hurt a person. So I think that was more my experience. Of course, I don't want to downplay the racism in my area. I mean, it's also, for example, my brother wasn't let into a club because they said they don't want to have so many foreigners in their club and stuff like that. That's also quite common in German clubs, that they don't want to have like, especially with men, because they think like, for example, Arabic men, or they are more aggressive or treating the women bad. But I think it's like also when it comes to police, I think especially foreign-looking men have their disadvantage. So that's also one thing that you cannot downplay. I think as a woman, sometimes you have the advantage that they think you're innocent and stuff like this.
I know, like I have a friend who a black African guy, and I was like, oh, let's travel with me to XYZ country. He's like, Keseena, you're a woman. They let you in. Imagine me being around, and I'm going to be denied a lot of stuff, and I might not even get access. It's not the same way. And until somebody tells you this, or like you put yourself in their shoes, you don't realize the realities of things, and it's always like important like to converse about it and to know about each other culture and the struggles that we went through as well.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And do you think like any part of you being a mix has been misinterpreted or misjudged in Germany?
Mm, I think the most misinterpretation is that everyone thinks I'm half whatever they are, especially with other migrants. So when I go to a falafel shop, they always think I'm half Arabic or I'm North African. Also, like sometimes Asian people thinks I'm half Asian. Every black person thinks I'm half whatever from which country they are from and stuff like this.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm
Yes.
yeah, racial ambiguous. So that's sometimes an advantage, to be honest. But I think one of the prejudices is always that people often think that for example, my father is white, my mom is black, that they think I have a black father who left, who impregnated a white woman on their vacation and stuff like this. And I think that's one big prejudice with mixed race kids, that they
Yeah.
often think we're coming from destroyed families or like someone run away, and it cannot be
Yeah.
possible that there's like a good role model of a mixed couple that can raise kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also like, okay, a bit back in the days it happens like this, but also like a lot of movies as well,
Yeah.
I believe. Um, a completely different aspect of it when I travel with Dominic, they always think he's a white man and he's going to pay.
Yeah.
Or like if he takes an order, it's a white man. This annoys me so much, you know. And when I give Dominic my card to pay sometimes, you know, and it's like, oh, you're sharing a joint account. Like, no, dude, I work. I earn my money, I
Yeah.
pay, you know. But it's like very hard to get this prejudice out of our head. I'm saying ours because if you notice somehow, um, at times, I don't know about you, like sometimes you yourself have the prejudice when you see like, you know, mixed kid or a white person and a black person together, especially if it's a woman who's a black person, like, you know,
Yeah.
like it's like being taken advantage of or vice versa. So I don't know. This is something like we need to work on ourselves, I
Yeah.
guess. Keep working on it and
Yeah.
also allow people to do the same because sometimes we don't even realize. I think there's a lot of things we don't realize, especially for me. Like I think traveling is super important because it makes you meet so many varieties of people, know their lives and stories, and enable you to see other versions
Yeah,
of
exactly.
everything, you know, which doesn't click in your mind at
Yeah.
all.
Because at the end of the day, I think no one is born racist. It's more like the environment that you're in and what you've been taught. And so I think, yeah, it's like important to break out of these forms that we were put into from society. And I think, yeah, as you said, like traveling helps a lot. Or I mean, you don't have to go far away. I mean, like one of the biggest learnings that I had was my Erasmus, and it was just in Portugal. And I've met so many exchange people in my exchange year, and I met so many exchange students and learned so much about. Even I didn't know that much of the difference between the Dutch and the German culture. Like for me, I mean, I grew up close to the Dutch border, but still, I've never experienced that much of the connection or differences. So it was fun. For example, I had one of my best friends. There were two Dutch girls, and yeah, to see like the similarities, but also the differences between just Germany and the Netherlands, even though it's like so close to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like yeah, traveling you learn the most, meeting more people you learn the most, living with them also.
Yeah.
Like you know, I've lived with I don't know how many different culture, religions. In Brazil, I was living with a group of Jewish people.
Yeah.
Every Friday there was Shabbat, and we were participating as well, and we're learning a lot about their
Yeah.
culture. When I was in LA, I was staying with Russians, so I learned a little bit about that, you know, and how direct they can be. Because in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, these people are not so nice."
Yeah.
But then when you get to know, it's just like I'm upfront. That's it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
love that actually
Yeah,
in a
exactly,
way,
yeah.
you know.
Now I
It's
remember also
comforting.
yeah. Now I remember one story which I also thought was so funny to see like the differences of culture was during my Erasmus there was one guy from Lebanon, so Arabic culture, and he was saying something like, "Oh, maybe worst case scenario I need to marry my cousin." And another friend, she was from Iceland, a country where they really are serious about not getting anything with your relatives. And she was freaking out about the fact that he could consider marrying his cousin. And for him, it was culturally so normal. He didn't understood her outrage. And it was like so funny to see how different these cultures are and how it sometimes can crash. But I mean,
Yeah, it does. I mean, a multicultural relationship, like so many things I see from one way and Dominic sees it from another way. And he's just surprised by my reaction and I'm surprised by his reactions, you know. And we like try to do some travel videos when we travel, and he's like, we should talk about how is your perspective as a Mauritian African on it? How's my perspective as a European German on it? I was like, that could be interesting because so many times I see things differently. I perceive things differently. I experience things differently than he is in the same environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
I hope we get it done.
Yeah.
We started at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think like when you are on the African continent and when you're on German side, you could switch?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, so I realize it when I'm with my friends in Germany, and especially with my white male friends. Often I try to educate them, and sometimes I don't understand some of my perspectives and stuff like this. But also, I realized also that I dress more colorful in Europe, which I also realized that I bring to essay often my more boring German clothes, I realize. And in Berlin, I like to dress colorful, which is not very common in Berlin. But yeah, I realize in essay, I mean, it's maybe not naturally, but yeah, in essay, I'm very strict on time. I don't know why, but even though I realize it doesn't make sense to be on time here, it's like stupid, but still, I'm always waiting in the restaurant. And sometimes I feel like, why are you doing it? So in essay, I feel sometimes very German. Yeah. So
yeah, definitely on those things.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get to walk also too much in public here, but you wouldn't think of like walking to the left and walking to the right. It's very strict. On the elevator, you have to be on the left, on the right. Give space to the person on the left.
Exactly.
Gosh, yeah, I see the code switch happening all the time. And I remember one time I was in Germany. Of course, like I don't think about it all the time, but more and more now I get used to the fact of walking to the left side, to the right side, and giving space and crossing the road only because people will look at you like, what the heck are you doing? It happened to me the first time in Frankfurt, actually. It's very normal for us to cross the street, and then Ben is like, Keseena, this is not something that you do in Germany. It's front open one, and second, you're gonna get a big fine. So I don't do it anymore. But then in Paris, I'm walking and I'm waiting for the lights, and I see everybody crossing. Then my best friend, she's like, Keseena, this is Paris. Just across the street. So yeah, you have to adapt a little bit to the countries.
No, that's also one of the things. I mean, like in Berlin, you cross the over the red light, but pass over the red light. But the most important rule, I think, in Germany is when there's a child somewhere at the traffic light, you will always follow the rule, even if it's like empty or anything. Like I remember I had it one time that the traffic light wasn't working, but there was like a mom with her child, and I was on a rush, and I was like waiting for almost 2 or 3 minutes, and then the mom also looked at me and said like, you can go, it's fine. And I was like running over the red light, but it's like
what is the rule about that?
I think to show a good example for the children. So if there's like a child next to you or like in front of you on the other side of the traffic light, you will definitely that's a big no-go. I mean, like if you when the street is empty and you walk over a red light, it's like it's not that frowned upon. I mean, yeah.
So don't teach my kid the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I remember when I was doing like we went for a school trip to Paris. And then we tried to be French and try to walk over the red light. And I remember our French teacher saw it and that we were crossing the red light while the drivers are almost starting to drive again. And she almost saw that all of her kids are dying on the traffic. And she was shouting, and I was like, don't go over here because you're not able to understand the traffic, especially since we were all from a small village and we're not used to the traffic in Paris.
Okay. In Paris, you said?
Yeah, we did like a school trip there.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It's good to be able to study in Germany and live close by to all those countries and get to explore.
Yeah.
Like I find that very interesting. Like I want my nephew to be able to like explore the world early and and learn. And I've always said like, and when my nephew turns 7, I'm gonna travel with him. And like the other day, I talked with him on the phone, and he's like, "I see, I'm 7 now. So where are you going to take me?" It's like you think like he would that he didn't
Yeah,
hear,
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
remember. I was like, "Okay, where do you want to go?" I want to go to the US. I was like, "Okay, that's
Okay.
far. Well, then just take me to Germany."
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, kids. But
Yeah.
it's good to expose themselves, and I think like that's something I wish in Mauritius we incorporate more. Obviously, there's a percent of the population that get to travel so lot, but there's a big percentage that doesn't get to travel, and I think like it would be important and it would be good like there is more agreement between universities in
Yeah.
Mauritius as well with other countries that allows more and more kids to move around even in high school, which I doubt because like parents are very protective of their children more than in Europe,
Yeah.
for reasons obviously. But like if they could get this exposure, like from the get-go, you teach them about respecting others, not discriminating, communicating, accepting everybody else's culture at
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
time,
Yeah.
which you get to be exposed to.
Yeah. No, I'm really grateful, especially since I was able, like went to a relatively new school, so they had a lot of programs with the European Union. So I could go to Finland, to youth exchange, like to France, yeah, to the Netherlands, and some of my classmates even went to Scotland. So it's like a really great opportunity, and it was back then also very affordable. I think I remember we paid like 100 euros for a trip to Finland and stuff like this. So it's like also affordable, for example, for lower income families. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's what I'm really grateful about the European Union, that it's like, yeah, as you said, offering these possibilities to explore the world and like to broaden your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like there's conversation happening about having one passport for Africa. I don't
Mm.
know, like to what extent how it is evolving, and I'm also curious, like how it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, will everybody from Mauritius move to the African continent? Will everybody move to South Africa? It
Yeah.
seems like I guess
Yeah,
like
it's
maybe South
true.
Africans are like, no, we're not doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, I think, yeah, in Europe, it's like the advantage that it's way more smaller and less ethnical conflicts like in Africa. But yeah, it would be an interesting thing to see. But it's like, yeah, I feel it's like such a pity, for example. I mean, you don't have to do it like with all of Africa. I mean, like 55 countries or 54 countries. Yeah, it's hard to handle. But I think, like, for example, if the SADC region would try something, or CEMAC region, it would have, I think it would just help the countries, even if it
Yeah.
would be economically, like, yeah, as we said, like for the kids and stuff. So I think it would be a great first step if at least like the regions would maybe start to work more together. And yeah,
Yeah,
don't
that
think
would
so
be a
much in
good
borders.
idea.
Yeah.
Like, they can do CEMAC regions, SADC,
Yeah.
another region, and see how it's
Yeah,
working.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for instance, in South Africa, like Mauritius-wise, I can come to South Africa for 1 month, but South African can come to Mauritius for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And I
should
mean,
be the same both ways.
yeah, and I mean, a German can come also for 3 months. Why not another African can stay longer? It's actually quite
Yeah.
absurd if you think about it.
Talking about this, one time I went to Lesotho and I was supposed to come back to SA, and I think I probably had 5 days left, and the lady refused to give me those 5 days. Dominic had stayed already 1 month in SA. He goes to Lesotho, the lady gave him 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like wanting to fight about it as usual.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm so angry, but let's go. I need to sort this. I was too stressed. And then at some point I was telling him, I regret I didn't fight with the lady. I mean, I fight a little bit with her. And I told her that, and she's like, well, it's like this, but I didn't specify it about the German state. You should just give him 2 months, And if you give me like my 5 days, give him 2 months.
Yeah.
But the things we have to fight in the African continent is hard. It's also very easy for me to go to US or to Europe. Sometimes they don't even ask me for a return flight ticket or where I'm staying.
Yeah.
But on the African continent, sometimes I would go to Kenya, for example, and usually I think I get 1 to 3 months. I can't remember. She didn't want to give me 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
She was like being very difficult. She wanted to just give me like 9 days or 10 days, but I needed those 2 weeks because my flight out was then. So that was quite a hassle. So it would be good that we work on our immigrations with our own African continent first. It's good to have other people internationally come, but like if we don't fix the issues within our African continent, then their own people doesn't would sometimes the best people of the country leave abroad because they are not treated well in their own country.
Yeah.
So you miss all this manpower here, and yeah, other countries get to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, it's actually also quite crazy how much racism in general in the whole airport. I think the airport is a place where I've been discriminated the most of my life, I think, because, yeah, you could see the difference. How, I mean, on the one hand, I also saw how I was treated better than others because of my German passport or because I'm light skinned in comparison to others. So, I mean, I saw it in Angola, like, she just looked at my passport and she was like, yeah, it's fine. She didn't care. And there were like a bunch of like dark skinned like people, and they were like super strict and asked them about everything. And it was like, I've also felt a little bit uncomfortable about this treatment, but I think the airport or immigration is like one of the toughest spot, I think, for a Black person, in my opinion. Yeah.
It is. And it's even hard also, like for me, like in my own country, Dominic wanted to move to Mauritius, and I was like, you're going to be treated like a king in Mauritius. You're white. I'm not treated like a queen in Mauritius. Like, we suffer so much discrimination because of our skin color, and it exists there as well. So, yeah, I don't think he feels uncomfortable. I'll have to ask him. Maybe he likes the privilege.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he wants to move there.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe it's because I'm more empathetic because I know both sides, because I know as soon as I'm in Europe, I get treated differently. For example, I have the frequent flyer status, and they always question me when I stand in line of business class that it's impossible for me to fly business class, or if I'm not able to know my privilege as a frequent traveler. For example, like at Lufthansa, you have the right, even if you fly economy, you will have the right to check in at the business class check-in counter, and you are also allowed to have extra luggage. So, for example, in Geneva, the woman at the counter didn't believe me, and I told her it's on your website, and I have a frequent traveler status for a reason. It's like because I've traveled already. Like it's not my first time at the airport, and she was discussing with me so much and then I showed her the website, and then she was like, okay, and she never even apologized to me or anything, and I knew exactly if I would have been a white man in a business suit, she wouldn't question anything at all. So it's like, yeah, frustrating.
I experienced this in Germany actually recently, and I was going to I was flying business, and I was like going to the business seat, and she's like, "Where are you going?" Like, and I could already feel like I was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, no, let me check." I was like, "You wouldn't have done that with somebody who was white."
Exactly, yeah. Or from me when I'm flying Lufthansa, like I also flew a few times business class, that they speak to me directly in English. Even though I'm German and with the person next to me who's white, they speak in German. And
They think
sometimes,
you're an immigrant.
yeah,
Like, you cannot
exactly.
talk
I don't
in
speak
that,
it. And sometimes I answer in German and they still forget it. Like, it's like, yeah, you feel like, yeah, just discriminated. And it's, yeah, it's an annoying, it's just annoying.
So
even.
you understand both spectrum, and that helps you understand when people are being discriminated, how they feel, because it happens to you at times, even though technically you're white.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Like for us, you're white.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I think that really gives perspective. And sometimes I think like if we don't experience something, we cannot relate. It takes a lot to relate, but when we already experience it, we relate better. And I'm talking about this like with regard to life aspects as well. Like, there's a lot of things when you were younger, you just like, doesn't make sense. No logic. We apply logic. But if we went through a couple of things and we can see it differently, then we have a bit more compassion for people going through something or experiencing something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a big part of growing, I think, empathy. Yeah.
So In those kind of situations, how do you navigate feeling like the others?
I mean, yeah, I'm not a person who likes conflict, so I often try to swallow it down, to be honest. Maybe it's not the most healthiest way. Like, I then afterwards rant to my friends, like, where I'm, like, annoyed about and talk to them, and especially to my other, like, migrant friends or something who has experienced the same thing,
Mm,
and who have, like, more, yeah, understand what it's feeling like. I think that's how I cope the most, so that I exchange with other people and, try not to escalate the situation, but also because maybe it's also this internal, yeah,
conflict.
sexism or internal conflict that you don't want to be now the angry black woman, the stereotype basically like this, or the hyper emotional woman, and then someone asks you
Mm,
if you're on your period or something like this. And yeah, yeah. So I think it's a little bit how we also have been raised that as a woman you have to be
mm,
modest and polite and calm. And I think it's
kind of.
yeah.
You're saying this
Yeah.
to me. It's
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I'm gonna go for the fight. And if I don't go, like I was saying, the laser to pot, it like eats me up. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't I tell the person? Because this is the person who's causing me this harm. So
Yeah.
he or she should know about it. It's not like you say whatever to somebody and then that's it, and that person has to internalize it because you're not doing this only to me. You're doing it to every other person that looks like me or
Yeah.
dress like me or behave like me. So feel the need, like I need to respond back and I need to react to it and I need to fight to it. Obviously, I do it less and less in my adulthood
Mm.
because it's so energy draining. But at the same time, like I need to get it out. So I do journal a lot
Mm.
nowadays, and also like I have a very a partner who listens pretty well. So it's like able to talk about these things
Yeah.
quite often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think also it's like sometimes I think like damn I should have been more aggressive, as you said, because sometimes people will never learn because it will happen again and again, and if no one has the courage to speak up, the system will never change.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Would you have liked to be able to react to it sometimes? So
Yeah, sometimes yes, but also sometimes because I think for me it's like when I'm really angry, then I can be really, really angry and I don't want to insult someone or something. So it's like really hard for me to fight in a classy manner, let's say like this, because then I would
yeah,
just say like I don't need to fight at all, because then I'm like just getting out of the situation. So I
yeah.
think, yeah, I'm always impressed if people can really stand up for their right in a classy manner and like in a good, yeah.
And me, it's the opposite. I was like, I'm impressed why somebody can take it with a lot of emotional intelligence. It's like, okay, it's like this. Let me keep going with my day. I'm gonna process that another time.
Yeah.
Just I'm amazed by this. And a friend of mine told me like there is you meet a lot of people in your life. There is different characters and behavior that you like in people, and others that you don't like. And those that you like, you should try to see if you can adopt similar kind of behavior and characters.
Yeah.
And I think that was so beautifully put, and that's something for me. And a lot of people I meet has so many things that I love about them, and it's just like, oh, it would be good to be a bit like this or work a little bit on that,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah, it's true. Like we will get there sometime, maybe in our
Yeah.
60s or something.
Yeah,
We find the
like even
balance.
like a little percentage is good.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
cannot
true.
like adopt everything because you also have your own individuality,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like it's good to pick up a few things here
Yeah.
and there, different people.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's like you have to process, like, I don't know how to say it in English, like you need progress of yourself. Like, I mean,
Yes.
like you don't want to stay the rest of your life exactly the same. At least
Yeah.
I don't want to be it. I want to choose
Improve.
and improve, and like, yeah, I think that's why.
Working on
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we call it.
Yeah.
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 Again, coming back to like feeling like others, do that affect like your work environment or like housing environment or other major aspect in your life?
I mean, yes, I try to always be like to feel sympathy for people. I think I'm a quite passive person. I don't know, it's like the right term, but I try to adapt to other people sometimes too much, I think. Um But yeah, I think also since, for example, I grew up in a multicultural home, like especially in the work environment, sometimes I understand better when, uh, for example, I always tell we have a Norwegian colleague, and I always tell like to her, you need to put sometimes the African filter on it because sometimes the people when someone say it, it sounds more dramatic in a European eye, let's say it like this. So sometimes you just need to put your filter and understand, like, it's not that dramatic as they stated, but still you need to take it seriously and don't let them feel like they're hysteric or something. But I think it's just like the way culture sometimes works
Yeah.
that people communicate different and you just need to know sometimes, okay, that's their way of speaking and that's totally
Yeah.
normal and sometimes I'm too direct and which also maybe sometimes people feel offended by it, by my style of communication.
Really? Well, like, we don't work with each other, I
Yeah.
guess, because I'm very different in a workplace than in a friendship.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but like I've never worked with you, so I don't
Yeah.
know this part of you. But someone did tell me about that. I remember
Yeah.
once.
No, because I
So
remember someone when I was the first time in the South African office, someone came to me like, "Wow, you're nice, you're smiling," and I was like, "How did that come off in emails?" I was like so shocked, but I also realized that my first workplace was a consulting company. So, for
mm,
example, it was a very strict, fast way of communication. So sometimes even with my boss, I just wrote in the subject line my message without
mhm.
like an actual message. So I know he would read it directly. So I asked him in the subject line, "Can I take a day off tomorrow?" And he would just reply, "Yes." And that was our
Yeah, get
conversation.
to the
No,
point.
and get to the
Yes.
point, and he doesn't
But
care.
here you have to say, "Hi,
Yeah,
how are you doing? Is
exactly.
everything good?" So I'm thinking that I need a day off
Exactly.
because of this. Is it? Would that be fine with you? Oh gosh.
Exactly. And then
God is ChatGPT
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. So a friend also told me he just always put his email and asked ChatGPT to make it nicer. Because I
Yeah,
mean, like, yeah, but
sometimes.
yeah,
I know like a few times I've done it as well, but then at some point I was like, I don't want to lose who I am. Not lose who I am. I don't want people not to know who I am
yeah,
because when I'm gonna converse with you, I'm gonna sound like a different person that I'm sending you
yeah,
something. So
yeah,
like you just need like to mix and match it. But like
exactly.
sometimes even like I draft my email and then I'm like, oh God, that's so my way. Okay. Make it a bit polite and
Yeah.
then it goes like a bit polite. I was like, wow, I can say the same thing by being polite
Yeah.
and it will be interpreted much better than the way I say it. It's the
Yeah.
same thing at the end
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
So I always tell Dominic, like, yeah, Mauritian, it's such a small country. You don't know how people attitude are and behaviors are, but you know, like a Latina would
Mm.
be dramatic, a Russian would be very direct, you know. And I told him, like, just put all of this combination. That's just me, so you get an idea what my kind of Mauritian is. Like,
Yeah.
not all Mauritians are like that,
Yeah, yeah.
because when a Russian is very direct with you, you just know like it's just to the point. It's not being mean. We get it
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Like a
exactly.
Latina is being dramatic. It's like that's normal. Making a whole thing out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's fine. But when it comes to immersion, you're like, why are you behaving this way? Like this is not the right way. This is
Yeah.
how you should behave. It's like, you know
Yeah.
what? Put those nationalities in there. Then I think like the filter will work
Yeah,
well in
yeah,
the
yeah.
communication.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I do admire the way you communicate with people. I think it's
Thank
really
you.
great and like, very like chill vibe. Anytime like there is any plans, like sometimes you will tell people to come, you will wonder would they get along with the other friends or like how would they feel about it? Is it something they like to do or not? But with you, it's just like you see, you're like chameleon. You just like mix and it's like so nice and it's
Thank
very
you.
easy, that you don't have to have these thoughts
Thank
behind.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I also realize it because sometimes I look at for example, if I celebrate my birthday or thing, I sometimes look around and look, how did these people all end up together? Because my work groups, my friend groups are all quite different. And sometimes at almost every birthday, a little bit scared if everyone gets along with each other. But at the end of the day, they all have something in common, and that's me. So I always think like, they will find a way to talk with each other
Yeah.
and stuff like this. So I think it's like you don't need to worry that much actually. And yeah, so
Yeah, I agree. I'm like organizing a little event in Mauritius, and it's really like people from different journey of my life, studies, people who've been there in tough time, in party crazy time, when my parents passed away or when I was sick, like all of it. And they are all so different. And I'm just like, oh, I hope everybody have a good time, everybody have fun.
Mm.
When I was in my 20s organizing events like this, didn't matter, or 25, it didn't matter. I was just bringing
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
together and they were having a good time,
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know why when we grow older, it's like, they're gonna get along,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna judge each other, or they're gonna have fun,
Yeah.
like, do they wish they didn't come
Yeah,
together?
yeah.
I was like, this adult brains.
Yeah, yeah. So just like the anxiety is kicking in too much. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We talked about work. How about like housing wise? How does that work for you?
I mean, I live alone in Berlin, so I mean, I also used to live like like as you, similar to you with a lot of different people in Germany. It's quite common that you share an apartment. So, like when you start moving out, you always share an apartment. And my first apartment was living with like 4 different people and with one bathroom only and one kitchen and stuff like this. So it was a big,
Me in Brazil.
yeah. You learn a lot of patience with it if you, and that's how maybe I also get like more relaxed and chill because at some point when you live with that many people, it's like, yeah, you cannot change it anyway, so you have to live with it at some point. Um, so I mean, I like living alone actually. I realize that now since I have my own apartment, it's
a different
a story. Exactly. You have you can do whatever you want. You have
But
your
do you like
peace.
still have the same patience that you used to have when you were living with everybody?
No, I realize so sometimes I've sublet my I have a spare room on my office, so sometimes I've sublet it. And sometimes I realize it like a dirty dish from someone else irritates you more than your own dirty dish, even though it doesn't it's the
Even though
same.
you would leave the sink full, but the other one left two stuff, you're just like,
Exactly. Exactly. So I realized that you get a little bit more, yeah, like sensitive about stuff when it comes to cleaning or like habits. But also I realized my own habits are starting to get a little bit weird. So for example, I never realized it, but one person I live with together, a friend of mine, he mentioned like that I always leave the cupboard doors open. And I never realized, but also because I'm small, I just fit under it. So I always leave it just open and I don't care. And he always almost banged his head against it. And stuff like this, which I didn't realize that these habits I started to grow when I start to live alone or like, yeah. So it's like sometimes a little bit, sometimes you think maybe it's better if you get more under people again, if you
then you see
leave
your
your habits. Yeah,
I
yeah.
also like bang the doors usually, and Dominique's like, do you really have to hit the door? For me, it was like normal to just like, because it's just something that slide, you just hit it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you still need to close it
Yeah.
slowly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then his mom also was like, when you put it the best is to just like push it, it would go.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, that's really something that I do unconsciously.
Yeah.
Like when you are with people, then you
Yeah. I mean, I see it really with my dad. Like he lives alone and back then, yeah, we were a lot of kids and we even had a dog. And I mean, especially when you have a dog who lives inside the house, like there will always be like fur somewhere and stuff like this. And now my dad, he's super, I wouldn't say neurotic, but it's like you could tell when I'm back home and I put Phil in the dishwasher, he always looks at it and no, you do it the wrong way. And then he's always like, just leave your stuff there and I will clean it up. And that's how I realized, okay, you start to live live alone for a long time and you start to get these habits. Yeah. So it's like actually quite interesting how living alone even creates your own, like makes you a new character almost.
Yeah, I can also say that because like I live in my apartment a lot of time alone, and when Dominic comes in, it's like I need to get used to it, but it's also vice versa. But then I think like when people have their own space, right? Because when I go to my friends in Paris, they live in a certain way. When I go stay with Dominic's mom, it's a certain way. When I go to my siblings' house in Mauritius, it's a certain way. And because I move around a lot and I live it a lot, I was like, wow, it's so different. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I love them, but I like to be in my space and do things my way. When people come, I'm very like, this should be in each order sometime, and I'm like trying not to do. But when I'm by myself, sometimes like, look, my apartment right now after traveling from Cape Town, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And just like open everything.
Yeah.
And the cleaning lady came today and I'm like, I'm so sorry about this. It's not
Yeah.
always like this, but I'm traveling again on Friday. So
Yeah.
you have peace for like
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Oh
but it's true.
gosh.
Like sometimes I also feel like I'm a messy person. So I know like social pressure is actually
Yeah.
the best way for me to get my apartment clean and stuff like this. Cause yeah, you feel,
Wow.
yeah.
I think like I was like super tidy before. I got messy because I wanted to learn to be messy because before with people I could be like, okay, we need to clean, like, you know. And now I think I've got too messy sometimes. One day I told Dominica, I think I'm a bit messy. He's like, oh, you just realized you're a bit messy. I was like, I think I try to always keep my stuff tidy. It's just like I hang out at places that are way more messy than I am, and I'm always like, this need to be this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
And apartment wise, when we are talking, is it easy as a mixed person in Germany to get an apartment?
I think, for example, I'm lucky. I have a very generic German name. So I think a lot of landlords are looking for names. Like if you have like, if I would have had my mom's last name, I think they would have cut me out of the application process immediately. And for example, when I was looking for in my apartment, I stopped putting a picture of myself in it because you always have to hand in something to the landlord. And I was like, okay, if they see my face, first of all, I look young and
Yeah, when you told me you were above 30s, I was like, what? I thought we were
yeah.
still early
Yeah.
20s.
So I look young. Yeah, I don't look German or like the typical German. So I know I would have been put out of the process immediately. And I could tell, for example, my sister, my older sister, she has a little bit more exotic first name. So she always just put in her last name to get better chances with apartments. So I think that's like the structural racism. And I think it's the same when you apply for jobs. I think even though a lot of companies are always writing down, oh, we are looking for everyone
It's
with diverse background. Yeah,
advertising.
yes, exactly. But at the end of the day, I mean, when we look at the corporate life, I think probably, I don't know the statistics, but I can imagine most of the CEOs in Germany are still white men. So I think it's we're still on a long way
To
to
go.
get rid of these structural barriers like racism. Yeah.
Yeah, and um, Dominic is also his parents is Czech, right? And he's born and raised there, but like he grew up in Germany, and then he has like friends who are Turkish, Iranian, from different parts, are also like similar concept, born in Germany but parents from elsewhere. Like they, and one day I was, and Dominic look German, and his surname means German, like Nemec means German apparently. And I was asking, did he ever suffer any kind of discrimination and stuff like that? And he says no. And I'm like, did your friends? And it's like, yeah, very often. Like, you know, very often they just classified as being Arabic and that's it, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, do that transpire in school as well? He said yes. And then you can tell, you know, like uh, other stories that he told me about, and then you like notices, and like you say, there's a long way
Yeah.
to go.
Yes,
So,
exactly. I think also in school you underestimated like casual racism. I mean, sometimes it's not even meant in a mean way, but I remember like my old geography teacher, she was a bit confused, let's say it like this. And there was this other mixed race girl, which was even like a grade below me, and she always called me Sarah, even though my name is Jessica, and she often called me Sarah, and I know like we don't have any Sarah in our school, and I knew exactly she mistaken me with another black girl. And it's like so it's annoying and yeah, like these little things which are I don't think she meant it in a mean way or she was like racist, but this kind of stuff it's like still hurting and annoying when these kind of stuff are happening to you. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Uh, but even though like this exists in this way in Germany, I can also again relate to how it is in Mauritius as well in the school. It's very subjective how the if the teacher likes you and would
Yeah.
like you, you get better marks, you get better opportunities, you know, to talk in front of a stage or
Yeah.
participate in a theater and everything. Just if they like you or don't like you, it seems like this kind of issues exist everywhere in the world and exist like in the same but different,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. I think that's what humankind maybe has in common, like after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the more we realize it, the more like we can work on it, like we accept it. It's better because it's better to everybody be treated the same way than one has a privilege over. So a little bit of privilege, I understand, but like when
Mm,
it's significant, it's like not nice, and it affects you through your whole life at the
yeah,
end of the day, and that's
exactly.
another work that you have to do on yourself now to fix why did I feel this way or why have I been treated a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming to our last
Mhm.
questions a bit. So I just like want to know a little bit about which country in Africa made you feel the most alive?
I think for me it was Senegal. So I was traveling to Gambia and Senegal, and I actually liked both countries. So I was coming from Johannesburg, and then we arrived first in Gambia, and it was like this kind of freedom, let's say it like this. They have beautiful beaches. You could
Yeah.
walk around even at night. Everyone was super
Gambia.
friendly. Yeah, it was like really
Wow.
safe. Like, and also in Senegal the people were also very helpful and like I remember it was like a holiday, a Muslim holiday. So the city was quite empty because a lot of people left Dakar to their villages and stuff like this. But I still went to one restaurant and then I realized, oh, there's no taxi around anymore. And I didn't know how to get home. And I was like, okay, what am I doing? And first, like, some guys, two men offered me like, okay, you can come with us on our motorcycle. And coming from SA in a country where unfortunately a lot of sexual violence still happening, you were like, maybe not. I was like, okay, maybe I'll pass on it. And then I was walking a little bit to the direction and thought like, okay, maybe I'll find a taxi somewhere there. And then this little boy came to me and he looked at me like, "Oh, you look different." I was like, "I know, because I mean, if you don't know, like Senegalese people, I'm quite short. Senegalese people are very tall and very dark skinned. So yeah, I got it that I don't look like the typical Senegalese person and I have an accent." And then he was like, "Oh, what's happening?" I was like, "Yeah, I need a taxi?" And I didn't thought this kid was like 10 years old that he was just curious who I am. And then he was like, "Oh, wait here, let me check." And I was like, I thought he would go away. And then actually came. He went with his bike. He was on his bicycle. He went with his bicycle to the city center to get a taxi driver for me. And it was like
Wow.
such a sweet gesture. And the people were really welcoming, and you didn't felt like unsafe. But also, it has like the fashion in Dakar was nice, and it was like a very vibey city, let's say it like this. So I really felt comfortable there, and I felt like it was a good. Also say it now to people like if they want to travel to Africa. Of course, South Africa is like one of the first stops because it's like as we talked in the beginning, it's very westernized, industrialized.
Yeah.
But Senegal is really a hidden gem when you want to go to Africa because you have beautiful beaches, but beautiful people, beautiful, great food, and it's like really a great place to settle, I think. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good to know. I'll definitely have to go again, I guess. I went there for a conference,
Yeah.
so it was just quick 3 days. You stay in the building, you go to the
Yeah, yeah.
conference, and you leave. So yeah, now I listen to you. I was like, I need to
Yeah.
visit this place, and I speak French, so
Yeah,
that
so
would
it's like
be like,
actually easy. It's easy
yeah,
for you, very
would
easy,
be
yeah.
cool. So if your younger self could see you now,
Yeah.
what would she be proud of?
I think first of all, she would. I mean, so in Germany we have like this when you graduate, you have this book of your like this high school book where you summarize the whole high school years and stuff like this. And later you have like these interviews from each person. And one of the question was, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I remember I wrote like, "I want to live in Brazil and work for a multinational company." And I was like, almost. Like, it's not Brazil, it's more like, South Africa than Brazil. But, I mean, like, I think I achieved what I always wanted to do, to work in an international environment, be able to see the world, and especially in my student years, I didn't have the money or the opportunities to go, for example, to Africa. Like, I was traveling mostly in Europe, which is still a privileged, but nevertheless, I was still missing sometimes our house. Namibia maybe looking like, or like more like Africa in general. So I was really, I think I would be really excited to see this part of my life to be able to travel and to explore Africa in a new way. Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautifully said. Well, like you said, manifestations,
Yeah.
right? It
Exactly.
doesn't come exactly in the way you think at a younger age, but as you grow, it develops into that. And I think for you as well, and knowing you, like you do want to explore Africa more, you want to know more about this side of your life, and you've got to do it in Europe before, and now you get to do that in Africa. And Brazil, you can go anytime
Exactly.
again and
Yeah.
again and visit,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. You can still do
Yeah.
holidays there. Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for African people, mixed culture, like, whether Germans, African, or African and other countries as well, like different cultures? What advice would you give?
I think my advice would be to embrace it and take it as an opportunity. I mean, we've talked now a lot about racism and the disadvantages of this. But on the other hand, I mean, you have to look at it as an advantage. You are someone who's able to speak different languages from a young age and um, yeah, that you're able to just give, as we talked about the empathy thing, I think, or understanding different communication styles. I think it's like something which is really an asset and an advantage. And I mean, it's easy to say sometimes when for example, I'm having a job and um, like if you're struggling and things like getting a job because of your skin color, it sucks. But on the other hand, would you really want to work for a company that is not embracing your yourself and stuff like
Yeah.
this? So sometimes maybe it's a sign that it's not the right fit for you. And I think that's really important to see it in a positive matter, to see the advantages of it and to embrace it. And I think yeah, I believe sometimes, yeah, you feel not really ashamed, but you want to fit in. And I mean, especially as a teenager, I mean, everyone wants to be like the others as your peers and stuff. But there will come a time where it's actually nice to be different and you don't want to
Yeah.
be like everyone else
Everybody
there
else.
else. And so I think that's what you always have to keep in mind. It's actually quite cool to be different and to
It
yeah,
is. I agree with that.
yeah.
I think like each and everyone always can adhere to that as well, because we all grew up on different things, wanting to be different and wanting to be similar to other people,
Yeah.
and that allows us like to really embrace who we are,
Yeah.
And also tomorrow, when you have your own company, you are able to employ people irrespective of what their ethnicity is, what their religion is, what
Yeah.
their race is. So that's also like something beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the hot seat and for having this amazing conversation. It's always good to sit with you and talk. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Maybe there would be a part 2 one day.
Yes,
So if it's still
definitely.
with
Yeah.
you, we can talk for 2-3 hours.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was
Thank
a really cool
you.
opportunity to
Thank you.
express myself here.
Wow, that was so beautiful and a grounding conversation. What I love about Jess is her honesty. She doesn't dramatize identity, she lives it. Between two worlds, she learned to make her own space, and that's something I think we can all take away. The courage to define home, culture, and connection in our own way. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who's ever felt like they didn't fully belong anywhere. Maybe they will realize they've actually belong everywhere, all along. I'm Keseena, and this was The Hot Seat. Until next time, stay true, stay open, and stay human.